Okay, a very good morning to everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start our second session of today's workshop, I would like to convey an appreciation and a thanks to our UMT's management team, especially to our Vice Chancellor of UMT, Professor Dr. Noraini Haji Mokhtar, for allowing us to organize this very first virtual event. So thank you very much. So a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us. And for those who just joined us in the WebEx application and also Facebook Live, you are welcome. In the first session of the webinar, we have focused on the direction of marine geoscience in the upcoming years, and going into our second session in the second national workshop on marine geoscience. In this new norm, we will look into the educational aspect, which focus on teaching and research practice in geoscience for the new normal. So, good day everyone. My name is Sherine, and I will be your moderator for this session. And together with me will be three other panelists from academia section and from university, from local Malaysian universities. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you our panelists for today. So here we have Dr. Jasmi Hafiz Abdul Aziz from Universiti of Malaya. Hi Doctor, how are you?
Hi.
Yeah. So Dr. Jasmi is an expert in economic geology and has been actively participating in the Earth Sciences Higher Education Academia and a council member of the International Geoscience Education Organization. It's a very mouthful organization. So thank you, Dr. Jasmi, for able to join with us today. Yeah, okay. The second panelist for today is Dr. Muhammad Hariri Arifin. He is our lecturer from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Dr. Hariri, are you there? Hi, Dr. Hariri. I think there's a technical problem. Yeah.
Hi.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, how are you, Doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Hariri. Yeah, okay. So Dr. Hariri is an educator, a young lecturer, and he teaches geophysics. So now his current research, I think he's more to geothermal exploration, and he is gearing up towards geothermal power for Malaysia in the future. So we are delighted to have you for this session today, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and then one last but not least is our very own marine geoscience lecturer from Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, Dr. Khaira Ismail. She is a geologist, marine geologist, and has been teaching in UMT since 2016, correct? And we are hoping that Dr. Khaira able to share her views and experiences in establishing the first marine geoscience bachelor degree course in Malaysia. So I'm very happy for you to be here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. And for myself, it is a privilege for me to have all our panelists for today and being part to our workshop. And I also welcome to all participants from the WebEx application and also Facebook Live. So thank you for spending time with us, and I hope you will enjoy this session. Okay, so before we start, to all panelists, I would like to remind you that you are given about 10 minutes, more or less, to discuss each question that I will be given. And to all participants or audience who are joining us through WebEx and also Facebook Live, you can write your questions, if you have any, into the chat box or Facebook Live and on the comments, and we will entertain your questions at the Q&A session. So I think without further ado, we can start our session. Just a casual and casual session. Yeah. Okay, so we can start off with Dr. Khaira. So Dr. Khaira, we know that the Malaysian government has implemented the movement control order during March. And however, we can see that this semester university was still ongoing during that time. So in your opinion, as a young lecturer, perhaps you can tell about what are the effects, the things that affected your teaching processes, and how does your students receive from the situation? Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Sherine, and I would like to also welcome everyone who joins us today. I'm also part of the committee for the National Marine Geoscience Workshop. So, talking about teaching and learning during the MCO, it was definitely something that I think everybody was not ready for anything to do with the pandemic, right? It's something that you watch in sci-fi movie, like, you know, suddenly everyone have to go into a lockdown. You have to sit at home with only a few people, and for myself, it was only me and my cat, so it was a bit of a struggle, but that was an experience. And I think it was also shocking for students, especially. It's like a new challenge. Everyone, all of the lecturers have been a student before, but none of us have gone through the same challenge what the student had during this year, especially in the 2020. So it wasn't something that we can actually share, or in terms of like experience, how you should learn in, you know, in terms of how do you perceive this kind of situation. So when during the transition, it was pretty ad hoc. We were still during this. It was still in the ongoing semester, and we need to finish teaching, and we still have a final exam during that time. And I was teaching Geo Malaysia, so it's a very field-based kind of Geo Malaysia and Southeast Asia. So it's a very field-based course. You need to. I was supposed to bring them to Langkawi, on you know, and they were already excited about it, and they want to. They want to learn in field, but obviously I can't do that. So they are stuck with books and also with videos and my voice most of the time. And you know, because we do the same kind of setup. Like we have a WebEx classroom, we have Google Classroom, and at that time it was still UMT haven't subscribed. I mean, not many universities have subscribed to any of this video conferencing, right? Yeah. So even for us, it's very new. So, but UMT management was quite quick with this, and they started giving out like what are the procedures and all the links that we have to we can use to engage with students. And probably for young lecturers, it wasn't that difficult because we are still quite active in social media, you know, in Twitter, Instagram. Maybe I'm not so much of a TikTok kind of generation, but most of the students are very engaging. But probably it can be a little bit difficult for like senior lecturers. I do know they were struggling with that, but they put a lot of effort. And I have to say, like, their effort probably like 2, 3, or 10-fold of what we did as a young lecturers, because we are quite adaptive with technology in terms of like computer technology. So as for the learning process, we are also new with online teaching. We do have previously, I mean, even before the COVID, we do prepare some of the MOOC kind of type of learning, which is the Massive Open Online Course. So we do have that. We video it ourselves and then we give to students and things like this. But that's like a one-time thing, so you don't do it on daily basis. Yeah, but for now, the students have to go online on daily basis, not just for my class, obviously it's like for other class as well. So maybe in a day, they have to attend 2 or 3 class, and that could be very taxing because you have to, you know, either like listen to it attentively, and we know that human can only listen to about like 30 minutes to basically absorb most of the knowledge. And then, but you know, lecturers, we love to talk. You're going to have a hard time stop me from talking because I love to talk. But the student will definitely not listen for the whole 1 hour of my class. So I have to make sure that they want to engage with me. So this is like one of the challenges that I feel, is that the engagement of students that I couldn't get in the physical class, even more online. So you have to be a bit more creative. For example, okay, for those who don't turn on your video, I'm going to ask questions. And then suddenly everyone bandwidth is all right. like, oh yes, I can turn my video. Like out of the 35 students, probably like 30 students is okay with the videos, you know, because sometimes I'm not saying that they're lying or anything. They're just like being a bit tricky. They think that they can get away with not, you know, they don't have to on their camera.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. But it's good when we can see them, then we know the presence of the other party and not just the lecturers.
Yes, true.
Yeah, because like previously Dr. Fazil also said, it's quite a struggle when you're like talking to yourself and when you're like making jokes and there's like no
response.
Yeah, there's no response. Exactly. How would you feel, right? And you're like, ha ha ha. And it sounds, at first it was very intimidating even for me, you know, but after a while it gets better. And then I asked them that even for those who in a rural areas, I mean, like that's also another challenge because in Malaysia we are not like the nationwide, we are not provided with the same bandwidth of internet connection.
True.
So during MCO, it was a bit more difficult because they can't even go out to access this place. They are stuck in one place. But now it's a bit more, for the new semester, it's a bit more free because even they can't return to university physically, but they can still go to places where you have better connection. You know, you're not restricted to one place.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also agree with you, like in terms of the connectivity of the internet, which we will go to the next slot. It's very difficult for especially students who live in the rural areas to have the connectivity, and I think most of us knew about the news about this one student about her struggle to climb on the trees and then try to be persevere and then try to get as much the connectivity in order for her to do assignments and do final exams. And I'm sure not only lecturers who face their struggles, but also students.
Yeah, I think students have more struggles in terms of that because they also have a lot of assignments. So this is, I want to highlight, like, you know, there's no use of highlighting the negative out of this. So we should stay positive about this, this is why two-way communication is very important, so that when we give something as lecturers, when every students have different way of perceiving stuff or like receiving and then analyzing that. So it's very important for you to communicate, for you to respond to what we have given, give feedback so that we know what to do and what not to do, what's effective and what is not effective. Not until the very last minute when you have your final exam. And you know, we also have like feedback for lecturers after we have finished the class, but you can't do anything about that anymore. It can be implemented for the future students, but not for yourself. It can be beneficial for your juniors, but not so much for yourself. So it's very important to have the current feedback. You know, like, okay, doctor, I don't think you can talk for 1 hour straight without stopping. You have to like probably do 15 minutes. So then we can take this and implement in our way of delivering.
I think it's a simple analogy. In our world, we have a yin and yang. So it's like a check and balance to see whether, did I make a mistake? Should I just like try to improve in order, you know, to both of our sides able to benefit. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Doctor, for the comprehensive discussion. So next we are going to towards Dr. Jasmi. Hello, Dr. Jasmi. Hi, Doctor. Yeah. Okay. So apart from the effects of learning and teaching processes as a lecturer, we know that the pandemic has affected globally, and of course, the Malaysian government has shifted or focused their more into the health of the public. And I'm sure, and I believe that it also impacted in terms of research and perhaps in terms of funding and also opportunity in geoscience research. And as a senior lecturer, what do you think? How does this sudden change affects the research in geoscience? Please, Dr. Jasmi.
Okay, thank you very much. So at first, I send my thanks to all the organizing committee and the UMT itself to invite me for this webinar. Right. So yes, when the pandemic happens, then the shift in terms of the government is focusing into our health, right? And there is slightly some effects in terms of funding and opportunity towards the geoscience studies. But in terms of us in academia. So when if something happens, then we have to be creative and we have to adapt. Okay, so in the lack of fundings, when we say in terms of research, so we need to explore more how to get more funding or to outreach to other people. So for us now, we are focusing into collaboration within the industries in terms of funding. Right, we've done it quite a long time already, so we emphasize in terms of collaborations with industry and to do the research that can benefit the society itself, not in terms of the industry also. So in terms of like the opportunity also, we were slightly depleted in um, opportunity because of the in terms of like movement limitations. You cannot do in terms of physical visits to other universities or other places. So that one also we need to be more creative. Nowadays also we start in terms of like in terms of the field work also we strategize in terms of online field work. We maneuver with Google Earth materials, the Gaia materials, the software. So yeah, we need to be creative and adapt to the situation, because we never knows when is the pandemic will be more or less stabilized and depleted in numbers. So that's in terms of my opinions lah, and what we do in our place lah.
Okay, so I can see that the opportunity in geoscience is little, I mean, more or less competitive. Is it true? That means,
Yes, but in terms of the other thing is when we have some things like now the economics really depleted, really hit quite hard in terms of economic stability. So in terms of to countermeasure the thing is for me and some of my team also, the most important is to find resource to cover up all the economics loopholes that we have. So one of the things that we in the Geoscience Society can offer to the nations, or in terms of in our country, in terms and globally also, is to find new resources to back up all the loss that we make in the economy. So one thing is new resources in metals, in oil and gas systems, and like Dr. Hariri will speak more into like geothermal materials. That one's all resources that are very important and very critical to our nation. So that's one of our contributions in this particular time in terms of research and development.
yeah, okay. So the opportunities, even though is a little bit scarce, but we are trying our best to, provide the opportunities for other people, and at the same time try to strive towards getting more resources, new resources other than our usual path. Is it true? Yeah.
Yes, agree with that, because we need to find more and more new resources to cover up most of the other things that have been support us for, let's say, the past 100 years or 50 years. So we have to be more vigilant and more adaptable to new resources, and how we maintain it and how we have to make it possible in the near future.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jasmi.
Yes,
So
welcome.
next we are going to Dr. Hariri. So hi, Dr. Hariri.
Hi.
Hi, yeah. So since the start of the pandemic, I think I'm sure you are a youthful lecturer in geophysics, and in your opinion, how do you, in your teaching and research activities, how does it change during the pandemic hits in our country, and what are the biggest challenges that you face during your teaching and learning lessons? Dr. Hariri.
Thank you. I think that is the first question that I need to answer you. Is it about the teaching and research activity is changed?
Yes.
So yeah, of course, I deal with students with many lecture note change to online. So we use online medium in UKM. Normally we use Microsoft Team, and then we also have our own system. They call it UKM Folio. The rest, of course, we can use other option like Webex and Zoom also. The challenge is we need to provide a new lecture note, which is we need to record a new lecture note and upload to online. Let's say upload to YouTube, upload to social media, and even sometimes we also put in our own blog, website, something like that. Okay, and then I have another point that I'm thinking to use what we call it artificial upcrop. So I'm trying to go detail one by one. The first one is we upload the material to a YouTube channel. Not to promote actually, but yeah, basically if participant or all of you can search my name and then you can see Hariri Arifin or Muhammad Hariri Arifin. Yeah, the number maybe not so good. Even YouTube also not pay me because maybe not enough the numbers of subscribers. But inside that channel, you can access my favorite topic like geothermal exploration, my lecture note, how to process the geophysical data, how to operate the equipment. That's it for myself. But we also have others, a person that very famous like Pachubumi. Everyone, I think now famous is Pachubumi. I think I call him as father lah, ayah. So Abi Ashkuri, former lecturer at UTP, working together with Joe Dream. So he start to establish online notes, videos talking about geology. So I believe everyone can access to learn, to refresh back the basic knowledge. So you can search about the Pachubumi and many video there. Even the subscribers number also bigger than me actually. Then even the previous speakers mentioned challenge to senior lecturer. Yeah, I agree. But one example that I can share with you is former professor at UKM, Professor Hamzah Muhammad. He also start to upload the notes in YouTube, something like that. So you can search and try to learn something there. Then we also use social media like Facebook, Instagram, but I'm more to Facebook actually. Then I would like to mention about many related geology page there, like Institute of Geology Malaysia. So you can type this page and look any new posting related to conference, notes, info. Same goes to GSM, Geological Society of Malaysia. They also have their own page at Facebook. Same to BOG, Board of Geologists Malaysia, and then in internet option also we can search many things like GSM website. You can go to publication and then you can read a lot of papers there. Of course, most of them relate to local geology for Malaysia, I mean. So when we face this situation, so I encourage my student to visit that website to find a lot of material there. Then for Board of Geologists, I think I also encourage my student to go there, and then you can search material there. And then the thing that I would like to mention today is Certified Geologist directory. So inside that menu, you can search either this guy, this person, is it have PGO or not, or at least graduate geologists. So I use this medium to encourage my student and friend also actually to make sure all of them registered as a professional geologist, because after graduate in real industry need we must have this PGO or at least GG graduate geologist. Then also about the website of Jabatan Mineral Geoscience, also many things you can search there. Last, my point for the first answer for the first question is about artificial outcrop. The concept is we try to reduce movement like MCO, right? So maybe we create this artificial outcrop in our lab or any wall section, like UTP plan to establish their own like what they call it taman batu, something like that. So in UKM, my team preparing the concept of this what they call it artificial outcrop. So we try to put all the type of rock, like let's say we
So basically, a part of the Dr. Hariri's opinion, is a very quite a detail from what that he already explained. So the first part, I think the biggest challenge is the how do you approach and engage students is virtually is a little bit difficult, because we as a human, we always wanted to have a physical contact or connection between two humans. And I do agree with you as if you want to approach, especially I'm sure that your students are in the millennial generation, and they are more to easily accessible in YouTube's or Facebook or Instagram. And I do agree with your point that you are using the medium that are easily or very approachable with your students' generation. Don't you agree?
Yeah, the most important is they can access our note, our video when we finish, let's say online session finish, and then they can search back lah, the note, the video, so everything in cloud, something like that.
Yeah, okay, I agree. So I think we have there's a short Q&A session. So perhaps if there are any questions from the audience, I think there's one question from the first part of our discussion. So I'm not sure there's for all the whether it's specific for all, one of the panels, but I think all the panels can answer, if you may. So the question is there any platform for students to join training in order to practice the geological knowledge? That means is any other platform like online? Maybe Dr. Jasmi could respond to that question.
Okay, in terms of platform, I think most of the universities in Malaysia that have geoscience or even geology in their universities, they already have developed a lot of like online teaching classes. We have like the MOOC platform also that you can learn the introduction of geology or geology 101. There are a lot of things that you can under the Coursera also. There are some academia already put. Then it's not, and it's open to everybody that have accessibility in internet. So that one is a good things to explore if you want to learn in terms of a basic geology or what is geology itself. Okay, and for me also lah, as a team that in charge in terms of the Olympiad of the Earth Science, we are actually very active in terms of promoting geoscience in the school, and we always go from school to school previously before the MCO to promote geoscience educations. And actually Malaysia is already competing for the International Earth Science Olympiad for the past 2 years, starting 2018. And we are the students coming from all the high school, secondary school. And yeah, they already have established some networking in terms of school. We also have the PTA collaborations with all the schools, and we are going into establish also the online platforms for every level of people, let's say from secondary, primary school, or even the kindergarten to explore what is geology. So that one is our main task for now, because from the previous sessions also the panel already mentions that geology is not a compulsory subject in our education system, but some of the school already established it for the past 5 years. It's like an elective, or sometimes they embedded into science from the form 1 to form 3. And some of the MRSM also with the IGCSE, they already put the earth science in their subjects. And most of our private school in Malaysia that are collaborating with Ministry of Education, they actually have start earth science education from standard 1. So there is some eye-opening things that we have to go into details what us in academia also can contribute in terms of stabilizing and organizing a very clear structured earth education in our education system lah. Yep.
Yeah, I also agree with your point where you are engaging the students through schools, secondary schools and primary schools, in order to instill their interest towards geoscience. And I believe that we should really encourage to enhance the knowledge of geoscience since in a younger generation. Yeah, I agree.
If I could add to that, as in like the platform, not just like, I think most of us know in terms of the university have provided all these courses, and it's also available online for free, not just for students, for everyone who's interested. But there's also internationally, there's a lot of platform because it's online, so there's no boundary, right? So one of the courses, online courses that was open for quite a while already was MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So they actually offer a lot of coursework, and also that includes their not just tutorials, but also their lectures were recorded, and then so you can actually access this first hand via virtually, and that could be one way of not just limited to whichever university you're enrolled to. And even due to the pandemic, Harvard actually opened up online coursework as well, and it's also free, accessible to all of the students, not just students, for us lecturers as well. So I'm also actually learning through that, and then it's actually very interesting. And then University of Calgary, they actually have a virtual field experience. So what they do is that they use drone to take these artificial structures, and then they do a photo mosaic and photogrammetry to as if you were there to watch, the outcrops and things like this, which is also more engaging than going to the field itself, because there are places where you can't actually reach, but then with the drones and the AUVs, you can actually see all this. So so that's the other platform, that students should not limit your vision and your learning only in classroom.
Yes, true. And I would like to add on the virtual learning. I think most of the virtual learning, as Dr. Jasmi has said about the Khaira and also yours on MIT, I'm sure it is a free learning course. So there's no 1 cent that you need to pay.
Exactly.
And at the same time, you are gaining a lot of knowledge for free.
Exactly.
And this is one of the most advantage for students to learn, not only in classes but also just by their couch, or just sit and just watch
in pajamas. You can do that.
Okay, so Dr. Hariri, if you have any idea to add on your views.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, as my position in IGM, Institute of Geology Malaysia, as a council member, I believe then, of course, I'm sure I'm very happy now with the team, council member, especially Mr. Abdullah Sulaiman, set up many webinar courses, talk, include Mr. Rashid Jafar, Mr. Deva. So we try our best to provide the platform for training. And then, of course, for future, we will implement about the speedy hours to make sure that we can use to renew for BOG PGO. And then I think for young graduate student, I think this is a good opportunity actually to them to set up maybe a new company that can provide training system, which is I think maybe we think that we are young, but you can engage with the professor that already retire, the senior staff or something like that. Even you can engage with the lecturers at university to provide the service. But as a young graduate student or young geologist, I think you can set up this company and plan how to provide the training to geologists outside there. So that is my idea. Maybe not just single company to monopoly the system, but we must encourage many young geologists there. I believe they have a lot of energy, the creativity to how to set up the system, how to improve the delivery knowledge in geology.
Yeah, so I believe that through wide networking or collaboration, this will may help us, to widen our geoscience field. Yes, I do agree with you. So I think we can continue with our discussion for other questions, if there's no question. So next to Dr. Khaira, we have seen that there are increasingly dependent on internet connectivity, as I mentioned, and I think you can add on from the previous questions, and also the virtual learning. We are more active. And most of the students right now, I'm sure, especially the undergraduate students, are attending online classes and virtual learnings. And also as a lecturer, how do you actually approach, other part? Maybe you can add on from the learning activities, or do you think that will it be as effective as a traditional method of teaching?
Okay, so I think, well, traditional would be a very straightforward, where you have like physical face-to-face kind of. Well, in a way, it's face-to-face. You can still see my face if you go online. I don't see. I think we should always adapt to challenges and to new things. This is even if we were thrown a curveball, we should be able to maneuver around it. And it is to prepare students of things that, not just students, it's like to everyone, is to prepare yourself in a situation where something that you can never think of. So I couldn't say that it would be better this way or it would be better that way, or it would be better somehow. It's how you perceive, how you engage yourself in that situation. So I would say, comparing to my years of studying, the knowledge that they have nowadays is just massive. Because at one point during my, which is like 10, 12 years ago, we were still learning, we go to libraries and all of this, we still physically go and search for books, for manuscripts, for, through indexing and all of this. So I actually went through that. But with Google, it's so easy. I don't understand what is this certain, what is seismic. I don't know what is that. I don't know what's geophysics, for example. If I would just to take this course, then I could just Google, I could just see, and I could actually know who is currently doing, students who are currently enrolled in those programs. You can actually even reach out to them. Yeah, so that's also one of the way, when you reach out to people who are at the same level, your peers, but they are not geographically in the same area, you can reach out through Twitter. So there's a lot of threads where you see it's very engaging. So most of the, for example, in the United States, most of Twitter is one of the platform where you can science were being delivered very on a daily basis. So we have, like, for example, Scripps University, they have Scripps Institute of Oceanography. They have currently, whenever they are like on field, they will have what do you call that? Like current live streaming, live streaming. Woods Hole, they have like Nautilus when they were when they are going out for exploration in the hydrothermal vents, where they send out ROVs. You can actually be there together with the scientists, and they actually sit down in front of the ROV cameras, and they at the same time, they give feedback right away. So you can actually sort of feel as if you are on the ship, on the cruises. So I've been on a physical cruise, obviously, and it's very exciting, you know, to be there on the ocean and having seasickness and whatsoever. But, you know, you don't have to do that to be on a ship or to actually go on a submarine, because now everything you have live feed. So even when they send out ROVs, you can see all the new when you're exploring deep sea minerals, for example, it's actually something that is no longer intangible. It's tangible because everybody can have access to this. So, like I said, there's no last time was better or this time is better. It's how you actually want to include this as part of your learning experience and how you develop yourself. And I don't say that for geoscientists, for everybody, don't stop learning, you know. I'm a student, I'm still a student. To myself, I am still a student, I'm still learning. There's always something new to learn. Even I'm learning from my student as well, because some of them are really good with technology, and they will actually tell me what to do and how to settle things. You know, doctor, this is easier, you should use this and that. So it's a two-way learning for me and my student, and students for myself as well.
So I think from the pandemic, it's not only we see the negative impact, but also positive side.
Exactly. How you widen your views.
What you guys say in Malay, I think is macam lumrah bila dah dapat sesuatu tu, tapi hakikatnya ada sebaliknya lah, kan?
Ada hikmah.
Ada hikmah dia, ya betul. Ada hikmah di sebaliknya. Ya. So you know, we cannot just see one side of the negative side part, but we also have the positive side. Like for example, you have said that we actually can be as effective in learning and teaching as effective as the traditional method, because our technology are advancing even more fast than compared to, you know, like the previous that we think before. So it's a good thing to know that, oh wow, that's the great thing, that teaching traditionally doesn't mean that it's good, or virtual learning is bad. No, but it's a two-way, like I said, yin and yang, you know. It's
always
a balance. So thank you, Dr. Khaira. Yeah. So to Dr. Jasmi, I think we have a next question. Dr. Jasmi. So Dr. Jasmi, I am sure that people are familiar with your work as a 20 years of experience in mining and also economic geology field, and I believe that you are familiar with the field-based research. However, we can see that many restrictions have been imposed and due to the pandemic. So, in your opinion, as an experienced senior lecturer, how does the current situation reshape our researchers to carry out their research? Dr. Jasmi.
Okay, right. Thank you, Sherine. Actually, geoscience is basically field-based studies lah. Okay, we cannot afford any geoscience studies without any fieldwork and whatsoever. So yeah, it's actually really affect some of the fieldwork-based research. But like we say previously, that if anything happens, then they have some hikmah based on that, right? And we have to adapt very quick, right? So for now, previously, like Dr. Khaira mentioned also, live feed, live updating in the net. So that one is the things that we are currently doing it now. Okay. Previously, I know that some people already do it before this, right? In terms like the artificial outcrop. There are people, they are using the photo mosaic in the Google Earth. They flown their drone there, UAV, and catalog it and show to the students, discuss with the students even though they are not there. So that one also is actually is already ongoing now, right? But people do more things like that for now lah. Okay, because previously, let's say only 10% people that do all the UAV and photo mosaic, but now more or less most of the things they done now are cumulative. Okay, maknanya a lot of people are doing it now, and even though the movement restrictions, the field-based research cannot be done in the bigger group, so the research actually cannot be stopped, or we cannot just hold the research because it's ongoing. So for what we do now in terms of our team, even though we cannot go into a big group, so let's say we take some of our students, let's say the postgrad, 2 students, 1 undergrad, to go to the fieldwork, went together, and we catalog what is the things there, and we'll discuss it online with all the rest of the team. Okay, and we also have currently do live drilling sheets, right? Let's say we're drilling in some of the mining site that we have collaborations. So all the drilling material, the drilling sheets are also being shared online to make the rest of the team possible to make it the interpretations of the drillings, and also the drilling sections, all the core will be cataloged in the digital. So then we put it in a live feed for our discussion. So another one is, let's say, the movements to other universities outside nations, our collaborators in other universities. Okay, that one is also it cannot be done now, but we still are updating with them even from day to day in terms of like all the, we have the Zoom, we have Microsoft Teams, Webex, we also sometimes do Google Meet. So we cannot bear to just hold on the research for a long time, but we have to make use what we have. And for now, in terms of the field-based research, I think it's the UAV, the drones, and the digital cataloging from site to the digital is what we have to do now. And most of the people already done it, but from time to time we learn how to improve. And one day we might have a teams that doing a field work from a lab. So who knows?
So basically, like for example, one of my research team, they had this so-called monitoring studies. So I think your point on using the live feed on monitoring the coastal area, or maybe the ocean circulation, I think that is a good, a strong point that it is also be able to be done in terms of research in monitoring and so forth.
I think like it's like Dr. Jasmi said, it's 10% of what has been done, and it's only based in research. But now it's like 100%, and also it inclusive in teaching. So not just limited to research.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. So I think we can move on Dr. Hariri. So from your experience, you can see that the geoscience industry also being affected by the pandemic. So in your opinion, how, since the pandemic have been affected the industry, how do you think that geoscience industry able to contribute in rebuilding our country's economy? Dr. Hariri?
Since I'm one of the founder of geophysical company last time in 2011, so this situation also quite pening kepala lah mau urus. Okay, so and then we discuss together among panels, even in industry group, WhatsApp group, also we discuss about this. And then for me, we try to identify the issue, the problem. First, maybe either we still can go to site, right? Like Dr. Jasmi mentioned before this, in small group. So why not we change to that mode? We go, let's say, one as a cameraman, and then someone else to speak what we try to explain to others. And then for industry, yeah, let's say one car, maybe 2 or 3 person only can go together. So last time we faced this with the police officer. So we need to fulfill all the requirement lah, provide all the document like PO, purchase order, letter of award ke apa semua. Then inshallah nothing to worries. Even nowadays, so we have a lot of meeting that need to cross the district daerah. So alhamdulillah, this is second days still okay. And then of course the meeting platform we use to settle all the issue related to project business that we need to explain to client. And then for academia, for lecturers, maybe the KPI is we must attend local or international conference. Yeah, of course, we can use this online platform. And then for me, this is still under managed, under control. So we can survive and then change our minded lah, pemikiran. And then for how geoscience industry can contribute in rebuilding back our Malaysia economy. This issue also we discussed with small group, the young geologists group there. So first that I can share with audience today, we try to identify the need, the people need. Let's say water. So maybe we establish the company that related to groundwater exploration, groundwater mineral water, or something like that. And then the second point is, let's say we want to identify the needs is now green energy. So maybe the famous now is solar, and then the geothermal is still far, and then need a lot of effort to convince all the people. So this is already third week actually. Indonesian guy promote their low what they call it, low temperature hot spring system that can produce geothermal energy, convert become as electric lah. So we believe in Peninsular Malaysia, even in Paskiri, Sabah, also can generate a lot of energy actually in megawatt unit. So the need is expertise, knowledge, or something like that. Then we must identify for new development area. Of course, we need to promote, let's say, engineers facing the problem like how to determine the subsurface profile. Before this, maybe they just use borehole, Macintosh probe, so very localized, a very small area that they can provide info. So maybe from that you can promote how geologists work to correlate the subsurface profile, maybe using geophysics method, something like that. And then the demand of airborne drone survey, I think it may be quite expensive to establish the airborne surveys, but to know the regional pattern of mineral distribution, hot spring distribution, something like that is very useful. But I don't know how to cope with that very huge actually the cost, how to attach the equipment to helicopter, to small plane, something like that. Maybe further discussion with the senior to intermediate and young generation, and then maybe after that we can move on how to establish maybe the first airborne company in Malaysia. Then of course you must identify any geological input. that we think important to provide to engineer, to CNS, something like that, to surveyor. And then my last point, I think since we are in IR 4.0, apa ni, banyak yang nak kena di hujung jari. So my team at UKM, we try to produce more geological apps, and then I would like to encourage young generation because I think they are much better than my what we call it as a generation. I think nak kata dah tua pun tak ada juga, but already 50 plus. So maybe the group of 20 something, maybe they have a lot of idea. For example, we already have the hot spring apps. You can search the apps, and then you can find a lot of info there. Even with the GMG, they have My Geotapak. You can search information about the location, what the interesting of every geosite, something like that. So the next, maybe we can create the new apps, something like online dictionary, Malay to English, something like that. The last version, I think 70 something kamus Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka, ada kamus geologi. So we plan to produce the apps that you can type and then you can find the translation. Even before this, many persons say competition between and UCAM. I think that's not about that. Actually, we must work together to improve geological sector in Malaysia. So I try to work together with Dr. L, something like that. Even maybe after this I can contact Dr. Jasmi itself to work together to work harder in this app. Actually, we can produce a dictionary app, but I try to improve that system become bergambar, kamus yang bergambar. Okay, so from that we can improve all the whatever we have and then become much better lah. Okay, that's my idea to that question actually.
So macam nampak Dr. Hariri ni sangat berpengetahuan yang sangat luas lah dalam geothermal. Jadi dan Dr. ada mention pasal hot spring. Biasanya kita tahu hot spring ni untuk mandi-manda bersia-sia je. Tapi kita dapat tahu daripada hot spring tu kita boleh hasilkan geothermal. There is a clean energy lah apart from solar energy. Okay, Doctor, thank you for your comprehensive detailed explanation. So I think we can move to the final question, and this is open to all the panels. Maybe about 2 or 3 minutes. I think we can discuss from your perspective. Will this be a new normal in teaching and research practice in geoscience? Be sustainable in the long run, or do we have to revert back to like a traditional method of learning or teaching? Or perhaps maybe we incorporate between both of the benefits or advantages. So maybe Dr. Jasmi could respond to that first.
Okay, thank you, Sherine. For me, hybrid is the best options that we have now. Okay, we cannot just let go the traditional ways, but we already see now what happens in the pandemic system happens. Then we manipulate the systems, we do a lot of online, so we can see the benefit already and the advantages. So for me, we will keep doing it whenever the things finish, the pandemic settle down whatsoever. We still do the online. We will do like hybrid systems, and in terms of the traditional way is where you have to touch the material. Let's say geology, if you cannot touch the rock itself, you didn't touch the minerals, so you will not 100% learn. So the traditional way will keep alive, but with a mixture of a new setup. So for me, hybrid is the best option that we have now.
Yeah. How about Dr. Khaira? Would like to add on from that?
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's like getting best of both worlds. Obviously, why should we go back to just if we don't have to choose, why choose?
Yes.
So definitely, I remember when I first learned geology. Actually, Dr. Jasmi he was that time a PhD student, and he was one of the during the fieldwork. He was one of the educators during that time, one of the instructors. So I still remember that we had to stop the bus and we had to taste the silt just to differ between mud and silt. So we actually eat rocks. That's how passionate we are. But I still want my students to go through that, but at the same time not losing tell your friends how do you differentiate things. So it's basically, if you can't do that this way, how can you do it if you can't touch it, or if you cannot physically do that? It's more like remotely, how can you ensure that whatever that you have tried in the field, how can you make sure that you can be you can confirm the same things that you have tried in field. So getting the best of both worlds is probably like the best way to now move forward. So not just, I still have to bring my students to fieldwork, and I am still looking forward to that, but you should not just stop there. And for example, areas, now there's a lot of like deep sea kind of exploration, because I'm more like on that part in marine geoscience. Definitely we can't dive into the deep sea, and it's very limited, probably like 1 or 2 person in the submarine and things like this, the small Alvin and from Woods Hole. But then we can still explore this area using like remotely operated vehicles and things like this. So it's also the same sort of like online, but you're like doing it in a remotely sensed technology.
Okay, so Dr. Hariri, maybe you can add a little bit more from the discussion.
Yeah, I think this is a wrap up to the discussion. This COVID, not only me, I think everyone believe that this is not short term. Ambil masa yang lama lah. So we must adapt with this situation, practice the new normal, and then try the best to cope with whatever challenge that we face. Apa yang saya nak mention sekarang adalah young generation must think differently compared to old generation. Of course, before this, the peluang pekerjaan tu senang, mudah didapati. So we must think how to create the job lah. So for me, the best way is try to set up a company and then try to work together with the senior geologist, the retired person, and then of course you need to actively involve in society, registered as a what we call it a professional geologist, and then for student try to register as a member, something like that. For young graduate as a graduate geologist, and then for IGM as a council member, I would like to promote renew your membership, and then involve with our webinar. A lot of activities happen, and then we try to provide all the best service that we can do, led by our president and others council members. And then try to join as a council, try to join as a maybe vice president, something like that. Because before this, when we email to members, the what they call it pencalonan nomination, nobody want to fill the form. So what happened is maybe the same person only become council member, become a treasurer. So I would like to encourage new muka-muka baru lah. Okay, maybe they also have a lot of new idea to cope with this COVID-19, and then we try to survive lah, whatever we have, and then we move forward lah, move on.
Jadi sebagai seorang pelajar, tak semestinya kita perlu belajar di dalam kelas, tapi kita juga perlu, that means we go outdoor and then we try to engage to other people, like joining the GSM membership. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Doctor, for the your review. So I think before we end our session, I think there's a few questions from the audience through Facebook and WebEx application. So the first question is for Dr. Jasmi. Okay, Dr. Jasmi, there's a UMT student called Umi. Sorry. So Umi, So her question is, what are the current progress of mining industry in Malaysia, and what is the future prospect after closing of existing mines such as Penjom Gold Mine? Maybe you can speak to that.
Right. I think the current situations of mining in Malaysia is, if I say it could be biased lah, but it have a very bright potentials, right? Even the closure of the mine is more or less a cycle, right? In the country like Australia, South Africa, and even China, they have mine closure more or less every year or every month or something like that. But what we do as a geoscience or geologist, so we have to find more. We have to do more explorations, and the mine development have to be continued, right? Let's say in terms of the Penjom, even though they close, so they are not just close and leave. Okay, there are people still working on possible way of mining it and so on. And you have to understand, when the mine is closed, it's not because the material is not there. Okay, it's closed because of the economic value are depleted. Okay, the cost to extract the things and to produce the gold is slightly have turns the cut off towards the higher limit. So that's why they close it. Okay, even the famous Sungai Lembing that we have in Kuantan also is not closed because of the material is not there. Okay, timah dia bukan jadi kosong lah. Okay, so it's because of the economic value. So as a peoples that in mining, so we are like every day or every single day we have to think how to manipulate and how to maneuver to the areas that previously non-economical and to be economical in the next few years or something like that. Okay, and in terms of progress, so in terms of our government also, we are actually, Malaysian government are very serious looking into mining. Okay, in 2016, 17, they are already developing the magnetic and radiometric airborne in terms of the East Coast Economic Region. It's already been finished. Okay, industry and real player can get the materials with some cost, right? Because it's not that cheap to produce the ECR materials in airborne and radiometric. And one thing is, having a data is one thing, but what we always told or share with the industry is, when you have the data, the most important how to interpret the data. Okay, because most of the companies that actually look into the airborne magnetic, they will ask the question, so where's the iron? Where's the metallics? So yeah, because if you are talking to like their CEOs or the CFO or even CEO, so they will just need, where's the iron, where's the gold, where's the tin? But it's not that straightforward in terms of data and interpretation. So you need, as a geologist, you need to share with them, with the players in the industry and the government. Okay, this is the data and where you have to look it into the data and how do you manipulate to get the materials. So yeah, knowledge is very important, and another one is how to adapt and how to create the scenarios to be understand into the industry people lah.
So everyone able to collect results and data, but in order to interpret the data or the results, we need knowledge.
Yeah, it's a slightly different league because to collect the things, most of the people, they can do it. Okay, because it's mostly with the equipment, you can just fly on, you set the line, the elevation settings and all that. Yeah, you can manage to do it with a very simple explanations. But when you get the data, you have to, the data acquisitions, data interpretations, data processing, that one is slightly on the next level. So that's why we need people that really understands and to convey it to the people in the industry. Okay, because normally we have the we can like a gap. And people in the technical team, we understand it. Okay, this is where we can do your expression whatsoever, but how to translate it into the people that are in the business, or all the chairmen and executive are mostly not coming from the technical part. There are several people, they are in the technical part, but more or less they are not. So how us as the geoscience people, how we will use our simplest terms to explain to them. That's the most important lah.
Yeah, I totally agree with your point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think there's another question from the audience. Yeah, from Dr. Alia Shim. He's a UMT lecturer. This question is for Dr. Hariri. So what is the type of renewable energy that could be studied or researched by collaboration with a geoscientist? Dr. Hariri?
Yeah. Okay. For this issue, I believe now we study on hot spring distribution together with others renewable energy actually. But of course, maybe geologists, the most related is hot spring system lah. Why I mention like this? Because at UKM we have one institute, they call it Solar Energy Research Institute, Sherine, but they focus on solar. Then several years, they try to combine with the others renewable energy like ocean wave, something like that. So maybe after this, the name become Sustainable Energy Research Institute. No more solar maybe. By the way, back to the hot spring study. We have more than 60 locations in Peninsular Malaysia itself, and then combined with the Sabah Sarawak, maybe we have maybe more than 100 location of hot spring, and then we reduce to, let's say, top 10 most promising site to confirm their potential. So now we focus on several sites like Songkai, Ulu Slim, Lodging, and Hulu Langat, which is under Dusun Tua area. So maybe this 4 or 5 location we can put effort to detail study. Even yesterday we have discussion with the MISA agency Malaysian Space Agency. We try to collaborate together with JMGSO, maybe TMB and other parties to look to this area, either to confirm is it we can generate energy or not. Because the local expertise is quite limited, so maybe we can joint venture with international expert, especially in International Geothermal Association. And then the most important is I like to mention that our neighbors, Thailand have more or less same system with us, Chiang Mai. They already operate the geothermal system almost, I think this year 30 years already lah. So why Malaysia cannot do? Selalu tertinggal like agriculture. Buah-buah mereka kan sedap-sedap, besar-besar, manis kan. So why Malaysia always at the back of Thailand? So we challenge ourselves, and then everyone try take this challenge to make it happen lah.
Doktor sebut pasal buah-buah buat saya lapar pula.
Actually,
So basically daripada collaboration international dengan local industry, hopefully with the hope that geoscience industry able to strive as far as the other field in our world. So yeah, our discussion is very interesting, but unfortunately we have very short time. So I think for the last question for Dr. Khaira, a little bit more. Okay, so for the last question is to Dr. Khaira. So what is from Nabil? So what are the current research opportunities offered under Marine Science Department in UMT? Yeah.
Right.
Just a short one.
Okay, yeah. So for us, we have the new BSc program in Marine Geoscience, but we are under the Marine Science Department. So we are more our focus for UMT. It's basically in geoscience, but marine related. But even then, the fundamental is obviously the geosciences, geology, and all of this. For research opportunities, we do have a lot of our lecturers are doing, our researchers are doing more in terms of, we do have hydrogeologists and also geophysics. For me, myself, it's more on like marine geology, and we do a lot of interdisciplinary. So not just focusing on the renewable energy and all of this. We also have, for example, technology to map photogrammetry of the coral for marine protected areas. So it's more like on environmental side, and this is what we have offered under the research opportunities. And also submarine groundwater discharge, that's also one of the thing. And we have paleontologists who are doing research on micropaleo with a collaboration with Petronas and INSTEP, which is also Puan Salwa this morning. Session, so she's also one of our collaborators on biostratigraphy, and sea level rise is also one of the new, not new, it's been a while, but it's just that nowadays people know what's climate change, so everybody have opinion on that, and definitely scientists are the one who need to make sure that the understanding of climate change, sea level rise it's part of the geological process, but how it is actually impacting the world in terms of like the time frame of whatever that is happening. So I think that would be, you can know more about like the research opportunities in our website. We do have like Facebook pages, and we do from time to time have this kind of engagement where we share what are the within the university, but can also be accessed from outsiders. We share a lot of researchers who are doing research in Malaysia, in UMT specifically, and it is open to public to join us and to get to know more about our opportunities in UMT.
So I do agree with your point, because climate change is one of the hot topics.
Exactly.
And we need to use our knowledge, and this time we are using geoscience knowledge to apply what is actually climate change and so forth. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to close our session. It's a very good discussion for today, and we have come towards the end of the morning session of today's workshop. And from here, we can see that the most important, based on the pandemic that impacted to us, we need to be more adaptable, more persevere and determined in order for us to strive towards any success field, and in this case we are doing teaching and learning in a geoscience field. So I would like to say thank you to our panelists for being able to spare some time and share their knowledge, their scholarly views in this session, and to all participants from Facebook Live and also WebEx application. Thank you very much for spending your time to be in our workshop. And I hope that you will be able to benefit from our panel's knowledge and words of wisdom. And I apologize if there's any disruptions or intrusions that may occur throughout this session. So thank you very much. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our audience. So have a good day.